This is The Culture with Vernon and Kevin. We're covering all kinds of stuff.
Who's Kevin?
Keith, I'm sorry, dude. Look, man. You're not paying me enough to remember your goddamn name. This is The Culture with Vernon and Keith. What's up, Vern?
What's up, man? What's going on with you, Cleve?
You, man, you what's up?
Man, so right now, I think Keith is going to want to get some stuff off his chest about the movies and the lack thereof of creativity out in Hollywood. So I'm going to let my man talk about it.
Yes. So I hate that there are no new ideas in Hollywood. Like, there are no new ideas in Hollywood. And then when somebody comes with a new idea, something that's fresh, something that is eye-popping, something that, appeals to a mass audience, and something that's actually good, it's not really rewarded justly. So I want to go ahead and talk about what exactly that gets on my nerves about it, and then I also want to talk about what that causes. So let's go ahead and go back to 2018. The best movie that I saw that year in 2018 was Get Out. It was a horror movie. It was, it basically played on a different aspect of movies that don't go, basically like stay away from taboo subjects. Cause it goes into interracial dating and how that is when you first meet, that person's family that is opposite of your race. Now, we laugh about it, but that is a still intense subject.
Why don't you just come out and just be like, this is how most black men feel when we meet white families.
True.
That's it.
Yeah. I would say I'm not even going to say most because I'm talking about your first time though. Yeah, that's kind of how it feels. You are on edge. You don't know what to expect. And that is not to say a horror, but that is a scary subject in itself. And Jordan Peele found a way to work that into an actual horror movie, and it is a work of art. It is easily the best movie that was that year. Now, it won for best original screenplay that year. So Jordan Peele does have an Oscar. Shout out to Jordan Peele. Now, do you know what won Best Picture that year?
What's that?
The Shape of Water, about a woman who has sex with the creature from the Black Lagoon. That's basically what it was about. So, of course, we've seen The Creature from the Black Lagoon. We've seen, the movie where the woman falls in love with the monster. We've seen that. And that one over Get Out, that is absurd. So, that right there was probably the best original idea that I have seen in Hollywood in at least the last 10 years. And the thing about it is we're not seeing enough of it. And the only thing that I can think of is that Hollywood either A, wants to stick to what, is actually, still drawing an audience, or they're afraid of new ideas coming out. So, we have had discussions about this. So let's go ahead and just talk about this, the stuff that's on the slate to come out. Well, there's a new Rambo movie come out. How many Rambo movies does that make?
It makes like 5, right?
I think it's like 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, Sylvester Stallone, how old is Sylvester Stallone now? He's
72.
Yeah, 72.
Yeah.
It's an action movie with a 72-year-old, dude. Are you serious? I refuse to see it. I'm done seeing it. I've seen Sylvester Stallone in the action movie. So then let's talk about something else that has not come out. So
I actually watched it. It was all right.
Yeah, it's all right. But why is it all right?
You know what? I mean, it was okay because I went into it like this is not a critically acclaimed movie. This is just gonna be him running around doing Rambo stuff.
Well, see, let's go ahead and go back to that. Now, the first Rambo movie, First Blood, it was that critical acclaim movie because it was basically talking about PTSD before that was even a term.
Right.
That, it talked about the things that still stuck with, these veterans when they came home, and then also how they were received and, the stuff that they go through mentally. That was a critically acclaimed movie for its day. And now, right. Rambo now doesn't even go back to that really. It's not the same thing, as it is. So like I said, like we're up to like what Rambo movie 5 or 6, right?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
I'm sorry. I got to jump in just a bit here.
Go ahead.
Just a bit. Americans love movies where Americans are handing out ass kickings or freedom. That's
He's right.
basically what we like. And
true.
Rambo 2 was just 90 minutes of Rambo handing out ass kickings and freedom.
It was. Wasn't that where he, and I think we talked about this, but wasn't that when Rambo had the bow and arrow and he went up against the tank in Saudi Arabia? And I was just like, I was off the train then. I was like, nah.
And he fired a Laws rocket launcher inside of a helicopter and it didn't blow up anything behind him. I agree. Get Out was a great movie. But then again, I mean, dude, those movies are very hard to come by. It was a good movie because it was a great story. It was a direction that no one ever thought about, where they had a talent of actually hypnotized people. We could put the black angle on it or the white angle. It would have been just as cool if it happened in Europe or Japan or someplace where everybody was the same race. The story would have been just as intriguing if everybody were the same race.
Well, let me ask you this question, since we all talking about that. I don't even know this, but what's the appeal of The Purge? Because when I saw the first one, I was just like, eh. But now they're like 4 Purge movies now.
Because people love when Americans are handing out ass kickers or freedom. That's what The Purge was. It was 90 minutes of Americans handing out ass kickings and freedom. That's why.
There's more to The Purge than that, though. So, like, all right, so if you saw all the Purge movies, so it was like, Purge 1, Purge 2, and then, like, the first one was, like, the first Purge. Actually, it was 3, and then it was the first Purge. So, it was 4 Purge movies. Now, the first 3 Purge movies, there's only one character, one dude who is actually in all 3. And that's the black dude who ran into the house to try to escape the group that was trying to kill him in the first Purge. He's in all 3.
That guy has. Oh my God! You know what? I've only seen one of the Purges.
That's me. I stuck around with the first.
I was
one.
over. I thought it was a great concept, but after a while, it just turned into a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Yeah.
Where, the bad guys were like Home Alone. They just kept running in one brick in the face after another brick in the face after another brick in the face.
So if you watch the first 3 Purge, the first set of Purge movies, the first trilogy, you see him running, basically being a victim.
Yeah.
You see him, the second movie, organizing a group. And then the third movie, where we talked about freedom, he is organizing the revolution. He is the leader of the revolution in the third movie. So, like, he's the only, you see his character growth through all of it. And, of course, we always want to just pay attention to, kicking ass. That's what we're paying attention to. But if you look at it, you see his character in all 3, and he goes from being victim to, freedom fighter. And next thing you know, he is a revolutionist. He is the one who is organizing the entire, political revolt. That is him. And so that right there was another good idea, but it still plays into kicking ass and getting freedom.
Yeah, handing out ass kicks and freedom.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the other stuff that no new ideas in Hollywood. You know how many Halloween movies there are?
I think we're up to 10 now.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. There are 2 more still slated to come out.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, Jamie Lee Curtis will be in the next 2 Halloween movies. One just came out in 2018. She is going to be in 2 more, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Still Michael Myers, still the same old trope, still, killing whoever has premarital sex, still killing whatever teenager's drinking. We have seen this over and over again, but for some reason, they are still cranking out the same movies.
I think at some point, I think that Halloween is more of a franchise.
It is a franchise.
Than an actual enjoyable movie concept, because it's so bad. Oh my goodness. I'm 42. I've been watching Halloween for, seems like forever.
I think the first one came out in 78.
Even when, because I was born in 77. So I remember Halloween 2. That was the one everybody was like, when he got shot in the eyes and the mental patients left the hospital. That was Season of the Witch about the television station.
Yeah. Halloween is like the Waffle House of horror movies, man. I mean, it's eventually going to kill you, man. It's so horrible, but you just can't stop consuming it. And it's eventually going to kill you. It's going to turn your brain to mush.
So, yeah, like, I'm getting tired of seeing the same movie. Like, how many times are we going to see the same movie that's coming out? And that's the thing. So the only thing that's really coming out that we've actually seen, I mean, like that's, you know, in the theaters. Think about it. They're remakes and rehashes of stuff that we have already seen, or they're like sequels that are franchises that of, you know, stuff that is still the same old movie. Like, how many Rocky movies are there?
With that being said,
Well, like there were 5 Rocky movies.
yeah, I thought
5
there were
Rocky
6.
movies, and now there are 2 Creeds, right?
Yeah,
Creed's pretty good though.
Creed is
yeah,
good.
they were.
Creed's
yeah.
a damn good movie.
And I like it, but it is still an extension of that Rocky franchise.
I don't know about that.
It is.
I don't know about. I think with different directors, it goes into its own different story lane, because Rocky Balboa is a love story. He just happened to be a boxer.
The first Rocky.
The first Rocky, the second Rocky. When he sold the franchise, when it was him and the Russian and all that, and him and Mr. T, that's when he sold the franchise to other individuals. The first 2 Rocky movies Sylvester Stallone wrote, those are actually love stories about him and his love for his wife. You have the angle in Creed is that Creed is an orphan because his dad left him Apollo Creed, and his mom, she basically gone on drugs. So it was the woman that Apollo Creed was married to. She just took him in and called him her son because she couldn't have children.
True.
So that's a whole new angle. Rocky, he just went to go to Philadelphia to get Rocky as a trainer because he knew Rocky growing up was, you know, that's his uncle. But I mean, fighting it, that's all he's known. So to me, I felt like I was watching something different. It wasn't Rocky. You didn't hear the horns, you know.
Yeah, well, I think Rocky and Creed are both parts of the greatest story ever told.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just the first. It's the first evolution. Rocky was the first evolution, and then Creed shows up, and then eventually there'll be an addition to Creed. You know, first there was Little Richard, then there was the Rolling Stones, then there was the Metallica. It all evolves. You know. That's how I see it.
I mean, it'll definitely be there. I'll tell you one movie, because he's saying that they don't make new movies or anything. I don't want to see another Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm done.
And you know what? There's gonna be another one coming out. Sony, you know, of course, has snagged, you know, Spider-Man from the MCU. They're gonna go ahead and redo Spider-Man again. Now, how many Spider-Mans has it been in the last, let's go ahead and say 12 years?
But Sony didn't snag
5.
Spider-Man. Sony didn't snag Spider-Man from MCU. Spider-Man was always part of Sony.
Yeah, but they pulled the character out of this movie.
They lent him to
Exactly.
Marvel Studios for the what is it? The
MCU.
Civil War. And then there was the Amazing Spider, those 2 Spider-Man sequels. Now they're pulling that character out. And I think that was a good job, because Disney always ruins everything that they get their hands on.
I think just because you said that, I think that, and in my own honest opinion, I think that eventually the movie theater will go the way of the drive-in movie. I think that everybody's going to want to watch their movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because now, like you can actually just rent the movie in like 2 weeks after it's in the theater. You can actually go to Amazon, or not Amazon, but you can go on demand and rent it. You know, if you have your cable subscriber, like it's almost 2 weeks later after it premieres. You know, you can watch it on your couch in your living room, you know, with your family right then and there.
I don't think the red box is ever going to go out of style either.
No, Redbox isn't going to go out of style. I think the people, you're mainly paying for the experience when you go to the movies. If you have cutting technology because of the sound, because of the extras, where the screen and the way the density is, and you're paying for that state of the art kind of feel. And that's just, that's when you don't put a price on entertainment. But I think that one original movie nobody's talking about is Will Smith Gemini Man. I kind of want to see it.
No, all right, hold on. You say that is, but is that not the same one as Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt did? Where basically he's going against a version of himself?
No.
Break down for those who aren't in the know. There's a movie that Will Smith just came out with. When?
It's coming out in October.
It's coming out in October.
It's coming out this October.
It's about Will Smith's character, who is Will
Smith's character is an assassin who his DNA was taken by Clive Owen. He's in the movie, and he's been genetically engineered. But it's Will Smith from 1992. He's talking about Looper,
Yes.
which was Bruce Willis going back in time, and then the other kid from Third Rock from the Sun,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He was Bruce Willis in the future or the past.
He was
or
in
whatever.
the past.
So there's Will Smith the original, and then there's Will Smith the remix.
Yeah, it's
in
Will
this
Smith,
movie.
the older guy,
Okay.
who's Will Smith now, he's trying to assassinate this one guy, but they're telling him you can't kill him because he moves just like you. But then you find out that he's Will Smith from 1993. The Fresh
He's basically
Prince
like
Will Smith. He's just a clone ripped
clone.
away from Will Smith
So
and sent to kill Will Smith in the same future time. So it's not like Looper, how you're going back and forth and can change.
So the clone has to kill the original.
But the clone starts to have feelings like, I didn't know you sent me to kill myself.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I said, it's pretty much one of the most original concepts I think that I've seen this year. And I would like I said, I'll go check it out.
What was Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis's job in The Looper?
I don't know. You know, Looper had
They
so
were
many
assassins.
movies. I mean, Looper had
That's why I say it's the same movie.
Looper had so many different angles to it, though, because I mean, in certain parts, the future would start to disappear when something in the past would happen and go wrong. It was kind of like the butterfly effect meets.
Yeah, it's time travel.
And so it's just like, you know, anytime you do a time travel piece, you kind of like if it doesn't kind of sync up, that's kind of like why I lost interest in the Avengers. That last movie, Endgame, oh my God, it was just long for no reason. 3 hours, and it was just like, that's it.
I will say this. I'm
That's
sorry
it?
to jump in on your podcast, but I saw a commercial the other day, a trailer. They're doing a second chapter in The Shining. You remember Danny, the kid who got away at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's being revisited by these spirits. He never stopped shining. So he's gonna eventually go back to the hotel up in the woods to try to get closure.
The Overlook.
Yeah, and he's I was showing it to my first lady the other day. So they're making I won't say they're making a remake of The Shining, but they're digging it up.
Well, yeah, they're digging it up and they're essentially making it into a franchise. Like,
Yeah.
all right, let's talk about another movie that got dug up. Well, it was a made-for-TV movie, but it was still popular. You still had everybody had seen it, and that was it. They made chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it. I will go to see these rehashings because I was a fan of the original. Now, I like both chapter 1 and chapter 2. I think that it made sense to stretch that out, because have you ever seen the book, like the actual book? If you look at it, a hardbound book.
Yeah.
How many books are that thick? I mean, if you put a ruler to it, that's a 3-inch book.
My mom had the paperback version. Yeah, that was a pretty big book.
Yeah. So like, to tell all of that stuff in that same, in that you had to stretch it out to not like miss anything. Now, do I think it was good? Yes. Do I think that it, said things that the original, made for TV movie, which was really like a mini series? Do I think that it, took anything away from that? No. Do I think they actually pushed the boundaries because now, it's just something that's on the big screen and not necessarily TV. You can show a lot more gore. You can show a lot more, different scenarios that you couldn't show on, regular TV in like the 80s. So yeah, like it's definitely, it was entertaining. I liked it. I think that they did a really good job of it, but it still falls into that trope. I've seen this before. I've read it. Like, how many different, how many different books are going to be made into movies?
Well, you have to understand, where you're standing is not the center of the universe. There's people out there who still haven't seen any of the It movies. There's a whole nother generation that are coming up behind that have never seen this stuff, man. This is their first introduction to it.
But are they going to see it, or are we going to see it? Or is it both?
We are turning them on to it because we were turned on to it when we were kids. Oh my God, you need to see this movie. When I was a kid, this was the goods. You need to see this. It's a Harry Potter theory. My wife grew up watching and reading these books, and she couldn't wait to turn our son on to it. Harry Potter. It's
well,
the
not only Harry Potter, but I mean, if you look at the other genres, like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings used to be a cartoon in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Watch
And
those.
a lot of people read those books or whatever, and then disappeared in the 80s. And then when they came back in the early 2000s to mid 2000s, everybody was in a big rush to go out and watch Lord of the Rings. I myself, I mean, because it gets a little easy to talk about what you don't like. But as far as what you do like in the remakes, I think the Star Trek franchise is way better than the old Star Treks. I would go as so far to say Star Trek right now is better than Star Wars. Because
I'll give you this. Those episode 1, 2, 3,
garbage.
crap. Yeah, exactly.
Garbage.
Well, they were made in the 70s and the 80s.
No. He's
That's
talking
4,
about
5,
the
and
fan.
6.
He's talking about the Phantom Menace, the
okay.
the
All right.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And then the last one that they made was
Which I forget, but they're episode 1, 2, and 3. We know that.
episode 1, 2, and 3.
So
And then
Star Wars, the Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back were actually
Classics.
4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. 4, 5, and 6, and those are classics.
Because those was classics. Because I mean, not only that, but I mean, we grew up with it, and it borrowed from so many different stories, and it was just you thought that's what it was. It came full circle, but then bringing back new characters, and then whole everybody's love, Disney's over perversion and pimping of the fans, and the horrible storylines.
Speaking of guess who's back again? Coming to America 2.
I don't
See,
wanna-
and that's the thing that kills me. It's like, yeah, that's coming out. And I'm like, dude, leave it alone. It's
gotta leave it
classic
alone.
as it is.
You
It is.
gotta leave it alone.
All right, so Coming to America is, I'll probably say, everybody's top 3 Eddie Murphy movies.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
top 3 movies.
without
period.
Yeah.
thought.
So, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and now they're going to make a sequel to it. What sequel? But all right, so Beverly Hills Cop is Eddie Murphy's only franchise, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the only one he has. What other, like, everything else not only stands on its own, but it's a classic on its own. Would you go see a Harlem Nights?
No.
Thank
Stop.
you.
Just
You
stop
can't
right
do
there.
it.
Just stop right there. I don't even want to hear it.
You can't do it.
I think what you had.
You don't want to do it.
What you had at that time was a black renaissance where you had a lot of black talent that was out there, but for some reason they couldn't get to the mainstream culture. Eddie Murphy was that vehicle to bring guys to the mainstream culture, the Robin Harrises. He was the one who, got the Della Reeses and all these other different characters who necessarily didn't have a mainstream following. Eddie Murphy brought them into everybody's living room and into mainstream culture.
Yeah, and that's Harlem Nights' original idea. Like, think about it. Like, Eddie Murphy still says that his greatest regret was not not having the foresight to think of DVD extras. Because he says, think about it. They had Red Fox. They had, Richard Pryor.
Robin
they had
Harris.
Robin Harris. They had all those people, and they were just cutting up each other.
Charlie Murphy was
They
there.
were
Charlie
cutting
Murphy.
up each other like no other off camera. He's like, if I had the foresight, I would have taped all of that stuff. He's like, and that was better than the movie.
Well, you had a situation where not only was it a black renaissance, but it did bridge the gap between older black, the Richard Pryor, the Red Foxes, and then merge them with the new black comedian that's out there. And you don't have that passing of the torch. Not to say that Kevin Hart wouldn't do a movie like that, but Kevin Hart wouldn't make a movie that would pass the torch to a Mo Alexander or pass the torch on, you know what I'm saying? A guy who doesn't have that many screens, but he's just as funny as that dude. He's just not in a position to do that. And basically, there's no new black renaissance going on right now.
And you know what made me happiest about that movie? And I know this sounds wackadoo, but as pro-black and as interesting as that movie was for our culture, everybody was welcomed in that theater. It was a mix.
Yeah.
It was a crazy mix.
yeah.
It wasn't just all black people. It wasn't just all white people. No matter where you went, it was everybody. Now, you go see Malcolm X, it was all black people.
Yeah, Malcolm X was definitely all black people.
But you go see Harlem Nights. I remember that weekend. It was Thanksgiving weekend, 1987, 88. I remember going to see that show, and it was packed. Place was packed, and everybody and their mom wanted to go see that movie.
Oh, yeah. And that's like I said, that's the beauty of the movies, and that was pre-internet. So we're gonna go ahead and I am gonna go ahead and alley-oop this thing to Keith because that's pretty much my time on the subject.
I got one more thing I want to bring up, and this is just a question: yes or no? Are you gonna go see Bad Boys for Life?
Yeah,
Yes.
and definitely.
I'm guilty of it too. Definitely. I'm gonna see the same
just
thing.
like I vote for Obama again.
Well, I hate to be the controversial one, but I have absolutely no urge, necessary, or fucking thought about going to see Bad Boys for Life. Matter of fact, I say fuck Bad Boys for Life.
How dare you? How dare you?
All right, so we're gonna let Cleveland have the last word on that one, and we're gonna switch to another subject. All right, so on the Culture Podcast, we try to go ahead and stick to entertainment, stick to sports, stick to music, anything that's going on in the culture, and of course, like some current events, but not trying to get too political with it. But I'm not gonna say that we got an enemy, that we're gonna talk about, but it's just something funny that happened to somebody that we don't necessarily like. So, Vernon, ex-vice presidential candidate, I think is probably the best way to describe her, Sarah Palin, is getting divorced.
Yes, sir.
She's on the market.
Yes, sir.
So, and it wasn't her who filed for divorce. It was her, current husband, Todd Palin.
Yeah, Todd.
The quote unquote. I think he said that his title was going to be first dude.
Yeah, he was going to be first dude if she became like vice president. But I was like, how is that possible?
Exactly. So, he's filing for divorce.
So he was the first dude in her life to go, "Yep, I'm out."
Yeah.
No, it was a few that said, I'm out. One of them we've talked about was apparently Glenn Rice back in the day.
Man.
So, all right. So there hasn't been a lot of news of reasons why. Of course, like the quote unquote, reason why when anybody famous is getting divorced is irreconcilable differences. But I want to go ahead and toss this to you. So I want to ask you your opinion of why do you think that they're getting a divorce now as opposed to at any point in the past?
Man, he found out she got jungle fever, dog. That's why he's.
You honestly think that's what it is?
I don't think that's what it. We already knew about that.
Sometimes, but wait a minute. At sometimes, and I know some white guys that I'm cool with. Cool with. They do not date white girls after they've been with black dudes.
That is true. I have ex-girlfriends who have had trouble, with their counterparts after they found out that we had dated. And of course, like I've never had any kind of beef. Once we broke up, that's it. I'm never coming back. There ain't no going back. So, of course, I've never tried to get with them after that. But, of course, I've always stayed friends, and that's something that I have noticed, that, there are some white dudes who have that opinion of a woman who has then slept with a black man. That from there, I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know whether it's they are tainted or if they think that they can't measure up to something that we have at some point, which I think is the dumbest thing ever.
Well, you know what, dude? Listen, if you were dating a girl and she said, "Yeah, my last boyfriend was a multimillionaire. My last boyfriend was famous. My last boyfriend was an NFL star." Somebody that is the opposite of you. It's kind of hard wrapping your head around that. And I'm not saying that you can't, because honestly, if I'm a white dude, if I say I'm a white woman and I'm interested in a guy or white dude, and he finds out that I used to date a black dude, and he goes, "I can't kick it with you because you used to date." Why would you want to kick it with somebody that thought that way anyway?
Exactly. But that's the thing. So that's how Vernon is interpreting this. He thinks that's what it is. I'm saying I don't know what it is. I just think it's funny that somebody who has been completely a divorce. I'm not going to say it goes against anything that she has done, because I think everybody has a right to get a divorce if you're unhappy in a relationship. Mm-hmm. But in her track record, especially with conservatives, divorce is never really on the table. Somebody's got to be dying to get out of the marriage. Think about it. Unless you're Newt Gingrich, who got his ex-wife about to sign the divorce papers on her deathbed. There really isn't a lot of divorce when you look in politics. So for somebody who is a vice presidential candidate to be getting a divorce, especially like now that most of her children are actually grown, that's still a huge deal. Like, that still goes against that whole, thing of, family values and, we're always a family and, everything else that they have. Like, well, her daughter's been pushing this whole, no sex before marriage thing, but even though she's got like 3 kids now and never been married yet, we have the whole thing with her son, who has also been in like, different things, like not in and out of jail, but he's had some trouble with the law.
Yeah, right.
Their family of hypocrites.
Yeah. Well, it's the ideal. And when you have the ideal of what family values is versus the real what family values is, then that's a situation that you're dealing with. Because even in Alaska, they was like, she was dating black dudes then when she was working for the radio station, when she was working for the television station, because she was the weather.
How many black dudes in Alaska?
Man, look,
you surprised, yo. You be surprised. Don't sleep on Alaska, bro. 'Cause we are worldwide.
Man,
bro.
we are worldwide.
That's like saying how many
yo.
hip hop fans in Alaska. There's a bunch.
What I'm saying is, I was like,
a lot of brothers in Alaska, man.
I mean, how many, and then how many is she going after in Alaska? That's what I'm saying. Like, how many could it possibly be?
She was dating black dudes though in Alaska, man, and I mean, even when she covered the weather and everything on the radio station KTUU in Alaska, what's up, y'all? It's Big Vern. But, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know who's listening. but straight up, even when she was dating black dudes then, how it all jumped off with Glenn Rice, it used to be, and you follow sports, so you know, and I follow sports closely. Nike used to hold a tournament called the Great Alaskan Shootout.
Yep.
And 1987 is when him and her hooked up originally.
Let's go ahead and give a little bit of backstory. 1987, Purdue basketball, really in Big Ten, Big Dog Glenn Rice was the man.
Yeah.
He was the man.
Glenn Dog Robinson.
So when you go to that tournament and he's the man, of course, all eyes are on him.
Well, Jerry Rice went to Michigan.
Who?
Glenn Rice. I'm sorry. Glenn Rice went to Michigan.
Yeah, he went to Michigan.
Glenn Robinson was Purdue,
yeah.
and that was the big dog.
Yeah.
Nobody was beating him. He was probably one of the best power forwards I've seen in college.
True. But yeah, like, so even like, I think only one of them was playing up there. I think it was Michigan. I don't think it was.
It was Michigan.
It was Michigan. It
wasn't Purdue.
Yeah. So like, you go up there, you the tournament, you the man, and there's Sarah Palin. like there are a few things that I want to know in life how it went down.
Man,
like, just to see like the lead up, and that right there is probably one of them. Like,
you got to, man, because see, she never look. Here's the crazy part: she wasn't a sports anchor.
No, she was not.
She was a weather person.
Yeah, apparently she had said that she wanted to be a sports anchor, hence why her daughter is named Bristol, because that's where ESPN is stationed, which I don't buy, but go ahead.
Yeah, if you the weather person and you don't cover sports, what you doing at a sporting event? Other than you being a fan.
True.
Hunting.
Right. She's on the prowl. And ain't nothing wrong against it. Here's the problem. When you can't live your life, forget, because everybody likes to be acceptance now of them being them best lives and living their best lives and being their best selves. If you like black dudes, that's cool. You didn't have to go ahead and drag Todd into this 20-year-old facade.
Oh, it's like 20. This is like
so
25.
you think that they're splitting? You think they're split because he couldn't get over the fact that she was down like that, or
bruh,
she's
not for Glenn Rice.
No,
as in currently though.
It's in current. It's not just because of Glenn Rice, but if you have a history of dating black dudes, and it's one thing. It's just like cheating, and your wife will tell you this. Any woman will tell you this. I'm not mad that you cheated. I'm mad because I had to find out from strangers.
You embarrassed her.
Right. And he had to find out from strangers.
So you think she was creeping on him?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, I don't hang out with the parents. I don't know what they up to.
But still, like, all right. So like, and that's the thing. It's like, once you're in a relationship that long, and of course you have been in the public, the public eye, for now, I mean, like, good Lord, that's going on like, 15 years national. If you can add in another, 4 or 5 just up on Alaska being local.
Yeah, 2006, and it's almost 2020. So, so it's been about 14 years.
Yeah, like 14, and let's go ahead. And she was, governor, and she had ran, and then, of course. So let's go ahead and say that, in the public eye, this has been going on for like 16, 17 years, but they've been married for like, at least 20.
At least 20.
Yeah, and now the dude files for divorce?
Yeah,
I think that he's out because, she used to have a Sarah Palin channel and all this other stuff. And it's all starting to die out because Trump is sucking up all the wind, sucking up all the oxygen. And, nobody's paying attention to Sarah Palin. Now that nobody's looking, he's like, you know what? I ain't got no reason to be here either.
Money makes love comfortable. And you got to go ahead and recognize how much was he able to put up with the whole time. Because, he was along for the ride when he's at the Republican convention and everybody standing to their feet. He's up there with the kids and holding the kids and taking the pictures. They got endorsement deals. They had Wrangler as a sponsor. They had all this money coming in. Todd was even at one point, he was getting ready to do Time Magazine, the cover of Time Magazine.
Yep.
And you got all the attention, but you knew behind closed doors, here's a woman who does not sexually desire you.
She had to at some point. They got a lot of kids, man.
Yeah. You like sex, but that ain't what gets you off.
Still, just saying.
Cause I know, I'm not gonna say no names, and she know who she is, but she hit me to something that she said most white families tell their daughter, you can play around with who you want to play with, but you better marry somebody white.
That's true. I've heard the same thing.
So when you have that going around, you can have all the kids you want to. But they better be white at the end of the day.
So with the divorce, and of course we don't have the Sarah Palin channel, she has said or been on the kooky side of the conservative political realm now for like at least the past couple of years. I don't think we're going to see her, running for office again. Like, you think that's the reason why Todd's out? The money's drying up?
Yeah, the money's drying up, and then also he can just go and live his life and be about it. And he's young enough to find somebody else. He's young enough to find somebody and be happy.
Oh, yeah, you can find somebody at any age.
I mean, you're young enough to enjoy sex without pills. You know what I'm saying?
Not only that, most of your kids are grown now, so child support is almost off the table.
Right? So being that that's one of the things that's, going to wrap up and, that's going to be his whole slight on it, Sarah Palin's free to do what she wants.
True.
You don't have anybody's talking points in your head. You don't feel like being kooky. You can have all the black dudes you want. Get blackity, black, black, black.
Right, let's go ahead and wrap it up with this one right here, though. So now with the divorce, and I don't want to hear or see Sarah Palin again. Like, we've seen all the hypocrisy that has come out about her, her family, pushing abstinence. Like, you and your daughter pushing abstinence education, which is the oxymoron in my eyes. While she is having like 2 or 3 kids out of wedlock. It's things like that where I don't want to see you again in the public eye. I think you're done. So
she might be, but I know for me, I want to see Sarah Palin in a cuckold movie.
Oh God, come on!
Way too much information.
Do it like a parody. I'd watch it on Bang Bus or Pornhub. You know what I'm saying? You have a dude dressed up like Todd, and then you have somebody just come in and beat the brack out of it. You know what I'm saying?
So let's go ahead and wrap it up like this. Katie Holmes left Tom Cruise, got with Jamie Foxx,
and nobody's saying nothing about it.
Well, now they split up, but let's go ahead and go. You also got Bern Davis with the woman who was in Jurassic Park, the first one. They're still a couple. So
are they?
Yeah, still a couple.
The chick from Jurassic Park, which one?
Laura Dern, I think it's her name.
Laura Dern.
I think it's her name. But yeah, it's whoever the woman who was in Jurassic Park. Yeah, that's who Bern Davis is currently with.
Bern Davis.
So, of age eligible bachelors, who do we think's going? I'm just letting everybody know Sarah Palin's on the market.
Man, I think the only person she could get with is Morgan Freeman because this younger, he's got that voice.
Apparently, Antonio Brown is single.
He is.
Just putting it out there, man.
I think
That's it, man.
That's it on that.
Shout out to the Black Achievers at Central High School in Louisville, Kentucky, who's doing their thing and getting scholarships and everything. Y'all stay positive, stay black, stay strong. I'm out.
So we're wrapping this up, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, there's nothing left to discuss on this one.
All right. Well, since we're wrapping this up, I want to take a couple seconds to say thank you, gentlemen, for having me in your house and talking sports and whatnot. And
Not our house. Me and Vern don't live together.
All right, then. It's been a lazy Sunday. We've talked a lot of sports. Talked a lot of we didn't talk very much politics, except for Sarah Palin likes black dudes. Good to know. Sarah Palin liking black dudes and all. So what have we learned today, gentlemen?
Man, I learned Keith don't like remakes, man.
No, I don't.
Movies,
Not
man.
a big fan of remakes.
Not a big fan of remakes, man.
And coming to America, hopefully, it won't suck balls.
So we also learned that Cleveland's going to go to see Coming to America too, but he is not going to go see Bad Boys for Life.
Not even on a bet, dude. I'm sorry. I just can't.
That's
I
sad,
just
man.
can't.
That's sad. That's
But-
really sad.
I am looking forward to. I ain't really got a lot to look forward to, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm a father of two, not a lot of money, and them fools need sneakers and guidance.
Cleveland's just waiting on the apocalypse.
Just waiting, just waiting on my ride, yo. Waiting on the bus to jump under. That's how I roll. Hope you guys have a great Sunday. I'm out.
Peace.
Peace.